everybody, and welcome back to the Experts of Now eSports podcast. This is going to be episode 2 posted to YouTube today. We got the usual suspects of BDF and golf, and finally on stream. Hopefully he doesn't fall asleep. But moving on, we also have two new faces with we also have two new faces with Real
Make sure to bleep that out.
Real Still. Bleep that out. You act like... Okay. Well, alright. Jesus Christ. Alright. But we also have Real Spill and Real Still on the mic as well. Real Spill,
BDF.
he's known as BDF's I'm kidding. He's known as BDF's rivals as far as his racing career goes. He pretty much carries the VER esports team at the top level at times.
Or 12 hours at Daytona.
Fucking cap.
12 hours at Daytona, you call that cap? Come on now.
Cap, no.
After 8 hours of runs a PB stint on no sleep. No sleep. After your ass gets up.
It ain't carry. You did more than me, but I wouldn't call it carry.
Oh my god.
We're getting that story today.
It's gonna go back and forth.
Bathurst?
Uh-oh.
Oh.
What happened there? Nothing, exactly.
Yeah, because your power went out.
Please stand by.
And we also... Okay, well, while BDF and Real Still just argue about who carries who, we're going to move on to Real Still.
I think it's
as
equal.
well. He's been a pretty heavy hitter in VER leagues, as well as one of our competitive tour drivers as well. He also owns a racing school. He just... Real Spill and BDF now. It's now getting... everything. Alright, so what do y'all want to start with?
Who the
fuck? Want to start with? We're going to go into some storytelling while doing some GTA gameplay, so...
Alright, does anybody, what's it called? Anybody have any esports news? I saw one invite. I saw one invite, and it's a join party, and I accidentally clicked instead of freaking join game. So, yeah.
Oh my.
So yeah. Any other esports? Any esports news? Anybody? I have one piece of news.
Well,
What is your news?
We got a race tomorrow.
We're not talking about tomorrow. We're getting there. I'm talking about anything else. I'm talking. Okay, race? I'm not talking about VER esports. I'm talking anything. Can y'all shut the? Anyways, I'm talking about any outside news. No. Can I finish my sentence?
I know who to talk about.
I'm talking about any other
cheating
outside news. Oh boy.
That counts as esports news.
Oh. Well, that's kind of that was already spoken of in a previous.
We talked about that on the Experts of Racing podcast. Go visit that on YouTube. But yeah, we've already been over this. Damn, even my own people of VER don't even watch some of the videos.
I got one.
That's great.
I do have one piece of esports news. Time. Do have one piece of esports news.
What is it? What is it?
So we know that Forza Motorsport 7 came out in 2017, but another racing game that a lot of us forget about that came out at the same time was Project Cars 2. Yep. Project Cars 2 has been around for a while, and it hasn't really been a competitor to Forza because they've appealed for two different types of racers. But Project Cars 3's trailer came out this week. It's supposed to be released later in the summer, and there were a few, I would say, head scratchers. Many of the hardcore sim and just I guess SimCade people thought the game looked too arcadey. Looked like a
Here's a synopsis of what it looked like. It looked like a mobile game with extra steps.
Yes. And there was a lot of what's the word? Criticism. But today, I'm not sure in an interview or a statement made by one of the main Project Cars people, but they said that Project Cars 3 is going to be very, how should I say this, open for options and different settings for the game. And they released a video today with all these hardcore simulating stuff. And I will say, Project Cars 3 hasn't lost its simulation value that it did on Project Cars 2. It's just a game that's going to appeal for more people. And in my opinion, I think a lot of Forza people might move over to Project Cars because of this. Because one of the main vendettas against Project Cars was that people on controller would struggle. But now, Project Cars 3 is going to be very controller friendly. So there is a chance that Forza and Project Cars goes into sort of like a what Madden and NFL 2K went into in the mid 2000s, like a little war. But that's like high approximation. Approximation. I can't speak. I'm so sorry. But yeah. Any other thoughts on that? Go ahead.
Sports, like it's not that big.
I mean, it could be.
NFL. Just compared.
I mean, I'm just saying. I think more people. I think more people play Forza.
NFL.
I think more people play Forza now than NFL in the mid 2000s.
Danke.
Just because it's more people.
Real Spill is literally just gonna argue against BDF on every single point we say today.
False.
False.
I do have to
False,
say
actually.
something though about some news I read about Forza 8. They said it's a different experience, so I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
Oh really?
They said that probably the mechanics are different. They said that the suspension systems will be different, which I hope to God they were, because the F1 car looks like a goddamn dirt bike when driving around somewhere.
Watch your mouth.
Real Spill, you're the last person to say that.
Watch your father.
Name us the most recent Bible verse you just gave us.
Okay. Y'all want to hear it?
No, I'd rather not get banned. No.
It's not. I swear I won't say nothing.
You're that.
No, don't. I swear I won't be nothing bad. I'll make sure. I'll try not to curse.
Try not to. Oh my God.
When are we getting
Anyways,
these
I think that's
GTA
it.
races going up?
But it's back to what-
It up right now.
Back to what Real Still was saying. I mean, I hope Forza 8
You're
is
only
different.
ugly to a mad bitch, okay? You're
Oh my
only
God.
ugly to a mad bitch.
But-
All right, that's my Bible verse for the day. All right.
Okay. Well, back to what Real Still was saying on Forza 8. I mean, I hope the game is different for sure. Forza 7 has a lot to be fixed on. But I think if they combine the best of 6, best 7, it's a great game. It's a stable game, no problem.
Get those walls.
More
Curbs.
tracks. Add more tracks.
Yes, and Forza, that's another thing about Project Cars 3. They added the CAR Corvette, and they also added Interlagos, so that may make me buy the game. I'm a sucker for that, which means I probably won't buy
You know what?
Assetto or
Forza 6
F1.
really needs to add. In Forza 6, those Watkins Glen curves.
No.
Like, those curbs. I love those curves.
That was
personally.
that idea was so
I
dumb
love
that I
them.
almost fell over. Anyways, anything
I
else
like
in the
'em.
esports news? Then we're gonna get into BDF's freaking
I
story
really
time of the
would love the
century.
Roval or something in Forza 8. Probably
That's
Monaco,
fair.
but I doubt it.
Probably not. I think they'll add Interlagos, but that might be it.
Interlagos is actually pretty cool in Forza.
Charlotte.
Try to be low fun.
Jesus
Low-key
Christ.
fun. Alright,
We need more
anybody
ovals
else?
in Forza.
Anybody else?
Facts.
I'm about to like rush through the story, man.
Why would
It's
you
tough.
rush through it?
'Cause I gotta get to bed early.
Oh my God.
Uh-huh.
This is coming from the same person. Let's do the podcast at this time. Yeah, for real.
But I gotta be rested.
Oh my God.
Congratulations.
So what your eyes
wanna
are
see-
scratchy in the morning?
I was about
Like
to
the same
say.
person.
I was about to say Trenton was hyped up on Red Bull that night.
Why'd you invite so
Monster.
many people? Close it.
You didn't
Close it
invite-
off.
I think he was.
It'd just be us.
I just have it on auto invite, but I'm waiting on BDF and like Real Spill having that joined.
No auto invite then.
Okay. Alright, I guess we'll get into the big story that everybody's been talking about. Le Mans! Taurus, 10th, I think it's 10th annual 24 Hours of Le Mans. Starting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, ends at Sunday 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so it's a full 24-hour race. A lot of very big competitive teams, and over here in VER, we did some good things. So we sent 3 teams to Le Mans this year. One of them is the 405 VER Don't Finish Last team. This team consists of Aviation 1903, AJ Gamer 4157. Golfing 247, Expert Racing, and that's it.
Fuck
Nope,
you.
just kidding. Since 12, we're gonna have Real Steel. No, Steel 5688. I am so sorry. Piloting that car for the race. Out of 72 teams, the team qualified in 72nd place. So we'll see what happens during the race. The goal is just to not finish in last, and I don't think we'll finish in last. So there's that team. Then we have the 403 team, VER just finished. This team is consisted of Durable Monkeys, what a name. I Am Greggles, what a name. KMB Drixers, worst name ever, and then Larry B the G, who is that guy? They qualified 29th out of 72. Pole of Sea Lobby. So that team is looking pretty solid, I guess. I said, I guess, so we'll see actually what happens during the race. I hope they do really well. And then, of course, the flagship team. What?
Oh my god.
No!
Oh, Bruno's dead.
Stop!
Bruno,
I don't have any clothes! Jesus Christ!
Oh, you don't have clothes on?
Grocery? I put in a list.
Grocery.
You don't have clothes on?
Huh?
You don't have
Well,
clothes on?
there he goes. Rest in peace, Bruno.
My dad was
That's in
asking
the
for
chat
soda,
this one.
and I couldn't recognize. So anyways, this is what I talk about with you.
Oh my god.
Anyways, we have the
Hey,
404 VER Not Found team. This is the flagship team made up of BDF 40 Gaming, Braden 45 MC, and Real Spill Goat. Because you're alphabetically last. Out of
He's got you there,
259
fam.
drivers, he qualified 14th. I got 21st. I think Braden was somewhere in the mid 60s. And out of
You're a
72
bitch.
teams, we are qualifying 7th. So I'm actually really happy. I'm excited to see what happens, but lagging is going to be a big issue with me. So I'm just hoping I don't lag out. But I think if I don't lag out and everyone does their job, we could be in store for a top 5. Other teams are going to lag out. Calm down. We qualified 5th for Daytona and finished in 2nd just because
I
a
hope
bunch
the
of
Red
teams
Bull
lagged out
team
in front of
flags
us.
out. That'd be funny.
Bathurst.
Right now, golfing is like losing his crap right now, so. Or
Anyways,
his internet is at least.
so that's the boring stuff. Now it's time for the real shit to go down.
The real
So,
skill.
I think since there's not a lot of news for the eSports, and this is a special episode, 11 o'clock on a Friday, day before our 24 hours of Le Mans, I think it's going to be a good idea to maybe tell the story of a different race we did earlier this year. And I'm going to skip the first 24-hour race we did because that one was very short and it wasn't VER. But we're going to talk about the 24 hours of Daytona. I think this is probably one of VER's proudest moments on all teams, mostly. And I think we did a really good job. And I think there's a lot of good moments in this story that everyone's gonna like. Most of us are gonna like them. But first, let's start off with the background. Race happened. It was between January 18th and January 19th. Now, of course, I've got Xpert here, I got Real Spill here, I got Real Spill here. I got Golf in here, so if you guys if I miss a fact, then interrupt, do whatever you need to, but try to be on pace with the race.
Back though.
So, January 18th to January 19th was the 24 hours Le Mans, or not Le Mans, Daytona. And this was the first race VER was going to actually participate in under the VER name. Now, IndyCar, the IndyCar League that Toro ran in 2019, we were under GoPro, Real Steel and I, and Goat came in later in the season, did a pretty good job as well. And I think in the middle of that IndyCar season, we changed our name to Velocity Endurance Racing, which is how you guys know us now. But that was the first time we actually sort of joined an organized thing in Toro, so this was the second. And if I believe correctly, we sent
Credit
3
to Booster
teams,
for changing the name.
3 drivers each. Now we're gonna start off with,
Not
I
happening.
guess, the main story behind this. We were not by ourselves in this race. We had a partnership for this Daytona race. and it was with the team called Phoenix Motorsport, also known as PXM. And this is partly because RealSpill has an affiliation with them. This is all partly because he couldn't really, at that point in time, I guess he wanted to do PXM proud. I'm not too sure about that. You could fill in on that one. RealSpill?
I owed him for something.
I actually want to know this. What made you think that bringing PXM along would be a good idea? Not hating on PXM.
I mean,
I just want to know, like, what do you think we would benefit off of it?
Publicity.
I mean,
Yes.
publicity. People hate on
We didn't
PXM
get
a lot.
Anything.
Publicity.
So whenever they see a
painters
PXM
and all
name
that.
up, the paints that PXM usually run, they're one of the best in the field. They just usually are. Always are. They're good paints. No. Alright. That's what they did for us, and I don't think we had a driver. But when they see a performance like a performing PXM team, you know, people are going like it's gonna raise eyebrows, right? And look, oh VER, what's that? You know? P2, what's that? Whoa!
Just love
Where
it.
these
You
guys
know.
go?
Alright.
Huh? Calm
You know.
down. But I had to beat you to it, like I normally do. But
Well, I was gonna get there.
God
You just,
damn.
like, gave away the freaking
Oh my.
climax. Dolphin just got dumped by somebody.
Dick beating.
yeah, but yeah, I thought it'd be a good idea because you know, Twisted's a humble guy generally, but you know, he you know,
We get to that.
but
Hey, we get to that part of the
He
story
Pause.
later.
he wanted a little
Pause.
more.
Calm down, calm
Yeah,
down, calm
but
down.
Wait a
yeah.
Getting there later. Getting there later.
Jesus
So,
Christ.
anyways, from this is what I heard. So we were gonna have,
Oh, great.
we were going to
You
field
lagged
3
out.
teams. All 3 were gonna have a partnership with PXM, and the third team was pretty set in stone. That was gonna be Larry, Shin, and Xpert. All 3 of them were a little bit off of pace of each other. A little off of pace of each other. So that was gonna be interesting. The second team that we had was gonna be Tricksters and Real Steel, and we were gonna try to find. I think we were gonna put Brayden on this team. No, we were gonna put Recon on this team. Yes, we were gonna put Recon on this team, but I think like a week and a half before the race, the original lineup was gonna be Real Spill, Brayden, and I for Daytona, because you could have at least 3 drivers. And we kept practicing all this stuff, and Brayden just got pissed off with the prototypes. And he basically just said, I'm not going to do prototypes, so he just didn't race with us. So we ended up asking one of our friends from IndyCar, Springa, who was actually right there with Real Steel in the points for IndyCar. So he was about Real Steel's pace, and we were like, would you like to drive for us? I know RS doesn't really do this kind of stuff. He said, sure. So we added him to the team. He was going to be with Real Spill and I, but I think he was I think he wasn't getting used to the car as well, or something was happening, so he was a lot closer to the Tricksters and Real Spill pace, so we just had him on there. So it was interesting. Real Spill and I kept trying to find a third driver, and I think we went through a ERLF1 Ben who hadn't even touched those cars in like forever, and we looked for other guys, and we ended up settling with a driver that you guys have seen many times before, and who would definitely like to be on the show right now. Duke the Rebel was our third driver that we sent for Daytona. And we kind of knew that he wasn't going to be a fast 2, or in the top 2. So he just didn't. We just didn't qualify him. So, anyways, I'm trying to figure out if I missed anything so far. I don't think I have. But anyways, now it's Tuesday. So like the day before Goat and I qualify. And Deluxe has finally finished our paint scheme. Oh, so do I. What, you got a 443, I got a 598? Oh, damn. Anyways, so we finally got to see our paints, and Real still takes a few pictures of it. And I'm just thinking, where's the blue and green? So this paint scheme, it was a good paint scheme. It was a very nicely designed paint scheme, but it had all this gray. There was this red, there was this yellow, black, white. I mean, there was no VER on there. The only VER that you saw were 2 stickers on the back, like
And they were tiny.
in the front. Yeah, like there was like no VER on this thing, and I even told Twisted, I was like, yo, like, can we go for something else? And I think we had the photo shoot. I'm gonna skip a day here. So we're at the photo shoot. It was like Thursday, and I told Twisted, I was like, the color scheme could be a little iffy. I like the design, but the colors don't really match VER. And then he was like, well, we can maybe come up with a negotiation for the next race, but Deluxe doesn't really like to change the paint schemes of his cars and the colors and yada yada yada. He likes to keep it the same. And I said, okay, I'll think about that when we go to Sebring. Then he kinda laxed a little when I gave him the lengthy threat. But yeah, photo shoot went well. All good people. They were also sending 2 GTLM cars to the race. And those 2 GTLM cars come into play a little later, as Xpert will note. But right now, everything was good. We got 5 drivers. Yeah, we're going to qualifying. And some of us qualified Wednesday, some of us qualified Friday. Sort of all over the place. And throughout the weekend, Goat and I were qualifying in the 1 minute 33 second, like, it was like 4s and 5s consistently. I could hit a 3, but that 3 would have to be legendary, so I was like on pace to hit like a low min 4. Real School, I think, was on pace to hit like a high 4, low 5. And we walked into qualifying, and we were instantly like the 2 fastest drivers in the lobby. Goat ended up running a, you said like a 4.37? Is that what you ended up? Yeah. Yep. So that was like a really good lap for Goat. And we kind of needed that because I absolutely blessed out my qualifying ran a 5.98. Oh, I was so mad at myself because I was like on pace for 4 or 5 times. But either the previous lap was dirty or I ended up yeeting the bus stop. So I was really upset with my qualifying performance. And then, let's see here. Other times, Trixers ran a 34.1. Larry actually ended up beating 2 of the second team drivers. He ran a 34.5. Seal and Springer both ran 7s. And then I think Xpert ran like a low 35 and Shin ran like a low 36. So, qualifying, there were 98 prototypes of qualifying. Goat was 10th out of all of them. I was 20th. I think Trixers was in the low 40s. And then
I got a question.
Larry,
For
Real
Lamar-
and Springer were in the 70s.
Whoa,
Go ahead.
no, hold up. For Lamar, we qualified 7th overall.
Uh-huh.
I'm 14th overall.
Uh-huh.
You're 21st overall. Why is that divisible by 7, but when we go to freaking Daytona, they're divisible by 10? The hell?
Probably because you have
Except the
more...
5th. But
You have
it's
more
weird.
slots for Daytona, or you have more slots for Lamar.
No, but
So
they
the
all
divisible
add,
number.
they're all divisible easily. It's weird.
That is really weird. No, I see your point.
10, 20,
And-
14, 21.
Yeah, and then 5. And then here's another thing. For where we qualify, we ended up qualifying 5th.
Yeah.
So like divisible by 2 for sure. So out of the 30 teams that started, we qualified. The A team qualified 5th. The second team qualified 21st, I think. It was like in the middle of C lobby. And then the lower team qualified in the middle of D. And now this is when the story gets. This is the 24 hours. We haven't even gotten there yet. So the 24 hours is about to start. I would go to those legendary DMs. That's why I'm never leaving that chat. But
Great.
simple story short, I'm just getting the guys at the beginning. I'm just saying, all right, here's the strategy. Remember to do this, this, and that. Have some fun. Try to move up. We're gonna get some spots on Langouts. Let's make it happen. So, the race begins, and before the race even starts, I'm in a lobby with like Boxer and AMS Swift and I think Joda Commando and Scottson, all these really, really quick people, and even Williams Isaac. And they're like, wow, Phoenix Motorsport qualified in 5th. And I was like, kind of. They kind of qualified in 5th. It's just like, VERs with something drivers to PXM. And he said, so you guys are running under the PXM name, but you're not really in PXM? I said, yep. He said, oh, I feel so sorry for you. That's when I knew I was in for a ride, because like, when somebody else someone else feels bad for you when you're running for them, and they like actually tell you that, I don't know. If anyone else has any thoughts on that, you can go chime in.
I knew from day
Glorious
one. I'm just
story.
gonna say this. I knew from day one with the paint situation that this was going to be bad, because if anybody acts that entitled at the beginning, then they think that they're on top of the world at that point. I had a bad feeling ever since the paint situation originally started. And then, of course, BDF, you mentioned it. We'll talk about it later on as the story progresses. But there's a lot of stuff that happened in the race that kind of backed my point on that.
Yeah, for sure. So the race starts. I wasn't there to see a lot of the stints, so some of you guys will be able to fill us in. But
Just do your first
there are
two.
12 stints. There are 12 stints at Le Mans, or not Le Mans. Well, Le Mans too. But 12 stints in the 24 hours, 2 hours for each stint. So on my team, I took the first 2. Goat would take 3, Duke would take 4. I take 5 and 6. Reelsville would take 7. Duke would take 8. Goat would take 9 and 10. I do 11. He do 12. So we would each do 5 stints. Duke would do 2. Now, why isn't it 4 each, BDF? Well, you see here, we had been running the entire week, and Duke was getting so frustrated, and we were originally going to give him 3, and I was going to do 5, but Duke was getting so upset, so we just said, you know, we're going to save some time, let's save some frustration, we'll give Goat 1 of the stints, so we'll each do 5, and you'll do 2. Those stints end up changing later in the race, but we'll hush. On the second team, Recon ended up quitting, for sure. Tricksters ended up doing a lot at the beginning, Spring did a lot of the middle, and Real Skill also would support the middle, but Real Skill Trickster sort of capped it off. And then on the third team, Shin ended up doing the first 3. Xpert and Larry would do a lot of trade-off during the day, and then Shin and Larry would end it. So that was sort of how we were situated. So the first stint happens. I kind of did my job. Like, I didn't move up or down, I was still in 5th. Tricksters ended up getting through a few people. Shin lost a spot, so, I mean, everything was going to normal. Then in stint 2, I'm running in 5th, everything's going normal, and then AMS Swift lags out in front of all of us. And if you guys don't know, a lag out in an endurance event basically kills you because you can't get any miles. So AMS all of a sudden, they were leading this point in time, had lagged out. I mean, it opened the door quite a bit. So then, I think it was Mitch or RR, and Europa started battling for the lead. I ended up catching Boxer. Him and I had a very good battle for 3rd all the way throughout. He ended up barely beating me. I think the Williams team won, and the Coca-Cola team finished in 2nd, and I have a personal vendetta against Coca-Cola.
No Coca-Cola. Remember, they lagged out. No, they didn't lag out.
I know.
Fuel issue.
You need a hush. Anyways, Coca-Cola.
No, it happened in stint 3.
Hush. No, it happened 4. Anyways, Coca-Cola, they were up in 2nd, like right behind Williams, just we were up there. We were decently close to SVR, but we were still pretty far out, and we were pretty far ahead of 5th place at this point. The second team had moved up to about 14th or 13th, and Shin had a terrible stint too. I remember. Like, we were all running Goat and I were the 226s on mileage. I think the second team was like 222, 223, 224. And then Xpert, I think, was like, weren't you like 219 or 220? Or something like that? Shin got a 210 in stint 2. And that plummeted us to basically last of the non-lag-out teams. I mean, I don't know. I knew it was a long race, but if that was the situation, and it looked like Shin was struggling a little because he had done 4 hours, and I guess 4 hours is quite a bit for sure, and he still had to do 2 more. So anyway, stint 3 begins. Real Skill hops in the car for our team. Go ahead.
So I hopped in the car, right? You know, 18, you know. Yeah, I'm not sober. 100% sober. Right. Hop in the car, you know. The way I tune this car, you know, I got a lot of people mad at us. I did not make friends this stint, I should say that. So, previous stint, Williams Isaac or something like that. And there was 2 teams that were just absolutely insanely fast. So, this is stint 2, by the way. I think there was an incident in the chicane on the bus stop. It was 3. It was during mine. I remember watching on the stream though.
Oh no, that was stint 2. No, you're right.
Yeah, I was gonna say they hit each other and they wrecked, but it really wasn't like catastrophic. So, you know, that hit them back, and then stint 3 comes around. I'm in the car, and I'm battling AMS. I think it was another AMS team. And it was Storm. It's between me, Storm, and Toru or something like that.
Toru, SPR,
I believe
Toru.
so.
Yep, SPR.
Yeah, it was us three battling. So I tuned the car to be absolutely unbeatable in a straight line. But in the corners, it was an absolute, just like, it didn't turn. Simply. So in the race, like at Forza, you know, at Daytona, the bottom line is just superior to the high. But like, my car was the boat and the hairpins and everything, because the infield is completely, you know, it's more downforce really, but it's really hairpins is all it is, and traction zones. So on the straights, I was just able to propel them. So they really couldn't pass me, but in the corners, I just hold them up. So Storm got real frustrated and legit just punted me off the track after the second hairpin. But I still came out in front of him. He was just real frustrated because, like, I'd go defensive in every hairpin. I wasn't willing to give up the spot. And whenever we get to the straight, I'd run the high line, and he couldn't do nothing about it except tuck in and just draft me. The car was so fast. But, yeah, and then the lead cars again, they're battling, and one of them miscalculates fuel, and one runs out. Absolutely ruins their chance to win, and I don't think they show up the rest of the race. Within stint
That's
4
not what
is a
happened.
BDS thing. No, then
That's
what
not what
happened?
happened.
It was, or was it
I'll
stint
tell
4 they
you.
lagged
So
out
anyways,
too? Stint
so
3
now
they had a
stint
fuel
3.
issue.
Stint
Stint 3
3,
had a
so
fuel
we
issue.
were in 4th. We had actually gotten really close to the SVR team, and now we were going for 3rd. And I was like really happy at this point. I was like, we could get a podium here. We just gotta survive stint 4. The B team, I think, had fallen a little to like 15th or something. But like 16th or so, it wasn't even bad. And then the C team was once again bottom of the non-line counts. The stint 4 begins. This is going to be Xpert's first stint, so you could tell a little bit about this one. But I don't think this is the one I don't think this is the one that you want to mention, but I know you definitely want to talk about 6 or 8. But anyway,
So when they
stint
have
4,
that fuel issue?
probably stint 3. So stint 4,
Yeah, stint 3 and stint 4 they lag out. Essentially.
this is the first of supposed to be two stints that we put Duke in the car. And we were like, alright, Duke, we're in a good position here. Try to stay ahead of LSD and Molson, because we were trying to beat Molson here, or we were trying to beat LSD. That was basically the goal. We were like,
He was the slowest guy
okay,
in the lobby at the moment.
we can get one
He was
team
Duke's
here to
face.
lag out, and we can try to do this. So, race begins. I'm watching on, and within the first 2 turns, Duke has wrecked the car. You guys heard me properly. In the first 2 turns, he has wrecked the car and he has a pit on lap 1. Absolutely frustrating to watch. Oh, I was so upset. And he actually ended up passing 2 or 3 people, and then he got passed back. He ended up getting lapped. It was a terrible stint. I think the fastest guys were in the low 227s. He ran a high 223, or a mid 223. Goat and I at that point in time were hitting mid 226s. It was actually terrible, and and honestly, this stint would have
We
been
got
the
passed by
worst
a
stint
B-Lobby
VR
team.
had ever done. However, the one thing that saved us in this race was that ESV Chasmo, yes, that Chasmo, was battling for second with another SVR guy. I think it was Toru, and he lagged out. The Coca-Cola team was out in the fourth stint, and they fell back. So in theory, we should have been in 3rd, but I think we actually fell to 4th because not only did LSCM pass us, SSR, B-Lobby team passed us too. So now we were down into 5th, but it was really close. Like, we could have easily pulled back up in the 3rd, but our chances of catching SVR, out the window. No way.
Explain what you did after that stint.
Well, we're getting there, but first I want to ask Xpert if he has anything to talk
That's my
about Stint
deal.
4, if he remembers anything vividly.
I just remember the restart. I didn't expect, like, this was my first endurance event within VR, within Tora. I've done endurance events before, but this is my first start of, like, an endurance event within Tora. And I never thought I'd seen more, like, aggressive driving in a first lap of an endurance event than I did in those lower lobbies. Like, I remember getting ran over, and then later on I remember, we'll get into this more throughout because there was multiple incidents and I can't place them with each stint, but I believe it was stint 6 actually, but
The second one.
where Yeah, where I was ended up getting wrecked and blocked and drove dirty as hell by our supposed quote unquote PXM teammates. And you, BDF, I'm sure you can confirm this. It was a pretty, I don't want to say shitty and sound like an asshole, but it was a pretty shitty apology after the race happened. It took a while for it to come out, and it looked like it was kind of forced.
To be honest, I don't even remember an apology. To be
Yeah,
100% honest with you.
There was an apology.
Anyways, so we were really struggling at this point. Like, this stint 4 was like the worst stint that all the teams had. So stint 5 begins, and now I'm in the car and I'm driving, and Realspool and I were talking about this in stint 4, and the question was, are we gonna move Duke out on stint 8 because he's got a second stint coming up?
All right.
And this is my side of the story. I sort of lean and go to the decision. I'm thinking, all right, honestly, this is gonna get us more miles. Like, let's not be wrong here. This is easily gonna get us more miles. The question is, A, is Duke gonna be okay with it? And B, is Go gonna be able to do 8 hours in a row? That's kind of what we were talking about. These are the two things. And I was sort of leaning to letting Duke have a second stint. But then, in the middle of stint 5, while I'm running, battling somebody, I get a message in the Discord saying, the 48 team got a penalty. No, not the 48 team. They said Duke got a penalty. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Now, originally, at that point in time, I thought Duke was on another of our teams, like the second team. So I didn't think it was us. For some reason, I didn't think it was us. But then, only did I go to the Torah stewarding results. And I said, okay, so the 49 team has a penalty, or the 50 team, because I thought Duke was on the 50 for some reason. And then I control F. If you control F, you can like find whatever characters you want. So I typed in number 48 to see if we had anything, and I saw one thing. Duke the Rebel has been given a 1,000-foot penalty for avoidable contact between him and Koenigsegg 1.
Which is the fifth of a mile, just about.
If any of you guys know who Koenigsegg 1 is, he is basically one of the main admins of Torah. And if you look at the video, Duke is going through the right-hand kink, Tracy past like 2 GTs at once, makes an ill-advised dive bomb, and just runs Koenigsegg off the road, while Duke is in last by like a good 20 seconds. At this point, I was really upset, and I was like, okay, this is now a very obvious reason to get Realspool upset. I said, Realspool, go ahead. So, Realspool, if you have any other,
Alright, my story here.
Go ahead.
So, whenever this, like, stint went down, I was like, no. There's no way this guy's gonna let him in another stint, because he was originally gonna have 3, then we down to 2 by race time. Then I was like, alright, this stint happens. So I'm like, okay, I gotta take this man's stint. And honestly, I had no clue I was gonna do 8 hours in a row. I had no clue when I did it, but I was like, I don't care. I was like, I'm not letting this man run. But during stint, I think it was stint 5, I was telling him, I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna submit it in the form. I'm gonna take his stint. And then a penalty comes through. I'm already saying I'm gonna do it. The penalty comes in. And BDF's like, oh my god. But he's not made a decision yet. I've already submitted it in the form, like, right after that. Penalty came in, he's like, alright, go for it. And I was like, I already did it. So, I did it.
I forgot about that, dude. You had already done it. So, yeah, and even Duke was even okay with that. He was beating himself up. But then I was thinking, we still have 16 hours left.
I just remember seeing a tweet, and I was like,
6, I don't remember anything.
We still have 16 hours left. We're right behind SSR and LSDM.
Yeah, and we were in a tight
We're just
battle
gonna have
for
the 2 fastest
SVR.
drivers go out for 16 hours in a row. I mean, as long as we don't lag out, we got a podium here. So sure enough, in stint 5, it was the first night stint, and I remember the night cars being a lot easier to drive, but a little slower. So at this point, the Coca-Cola team had actually dropped out. The AMS driver wasn't very strong, so it ended up being a battle between me and SVR Floofy. Floofy?
Fast.
Floofy? Floofy. SVR Floofy for second. And at this point, Duke had killed our second stint, or our stint, so we were 3 miles behind them. We would need something ridiculous to catch up to them. But, you know, ridiculous things happen at Daytona, so I was like, okay, let's try it. So me and him battled to hell for second place. I know he did a little bit of track extending in turn 1, but I did a little bit of cutting the bus stop. Stint 5. So I think it was pretty equal. I ended up getting the best to him. I finished second. I only lost to, I think it may have been South. No, it wasn't South.
South was in that race?
No, I think it was either Mitch or RR. It was one of them that I lost to. It was only by 30 seconds.
Williams
it was close. So I was.
Dude, they were
second.
just absolutely insane.
And instantly,
they beat us in qualifying by about 16.
right after that stint, we were ahead by 2 miles over the SSR LSTM team again. So I was like, okay, we're fine. The second team was starting to falter a little. I think they had still fallen down to 16th or 17th. And the third team, Larry was finally getting in the car to run some stints. But, I mean, we were still really far behind. And then stint 6 began. And SVR, I guess, had their little secret weapon stored up. SVR carried, took the stint for stint 6. And my god, this dude was fast. He actually kept up with Harmonic, who in my opinion was their best driver. It was the Williams best driver going up against the SVR best driver. And it was a nice one to watch for the few laps that was close. But they checked out pretty quickly. And I remember stint 6, I was losing concentration like quite a bit. Like the guy in 4th was keeping up with me much more than he should have. Then after the first pit stop, I saw what was wrong, and I was like, okay, let me drive. I ended up beating him by like 15 seconds, also carried by like 40. And then AMS was struggling at this point. Their main team, the AMS put 2 teams in A-lobby. I think at this point in the race, they already had 3 lagged outs. Like, it was brutal. They were terrible at this point in time. We had moved up to the 3rd very comfortably.
Quick,
The second team, once again, had also fallen down to 17th. And the third team, now this is Xpert stint 6, if you have anything to talk about.
Well, of course, just a few events. There was, I mentioned the multiple times I kind of got screwed over by teammates whenever I would head, there was one incident I remember greatly. I was heading through the middle section off the initial, hairpin in the end section where I completely oh my god, the road course section where I completely I was going to pass, I believe it was PXM Twisted. I was going to pass him through the sharp, almost full throttle left-hander. No, it was the left-hander
the kink
going
in the middle
into,
of the infield.
Yeah.
There you go.
Pretty much. Thank you. I was going to pass him through there and ended up, he was on the right-hand side. I had enough to fit through there and was going to probably clear him heading in. And he ends up blocking, sending me off the track and almost making me completely spin out. And there were several times that I just would get door slammed, or you mentioned how the cars wouldn't turn. Well, the GTs would have better cornering than you at times and would literally, I can't even count the times a PXM driver threw it in and tried to move me out of the way in the corner. And I'm sure Real Steel could probably feel the same thing. He had a lot of protest against the drivers in this race.
Alright, so it's 8. Okay.
I did have, I think it was my final stint, I had like a really bad experience when me and our good friend Zenith were racing each other. I'm pretty sure it was P3, probably? P2, P3. And then I don't know where a GT just decides to just take the middle of the road. And I have to pull like a Mika Hackett in here and just split in between me and Zenith. And then the GT runs Zenith off the road, basically ruined his last stint. I felt so bad for him. I mean, the only bad thing about B team was that we only had like a penalties because I track extended, which shouldn't have been a track extending penalty.
Whatever. Right, but anyways, so now it's halfway done. The VER main team is in 3rd. We're looking really good. You don't get mentioned on Twitter, so now it's time for me to go to bed. Only thing I could think about is just trying to finish 3rd. I'm just hoping Goat can do the 8 hours. Goat can do the 8 hours. And, I guess I was dead asleep, so we're gonna talk about for the next 8 hours.
Alright, so since 7 begins, and I'm like, here, who am I going against? I just looked this up in the stats, but I was going against Luffy and Sloth and Yuko, them guys, they're quick. So we're racing, and alright, it runs well. I run with Luffy and them, but the Williams team just gone. See ya. No one stayed with him in this stint. It was pretty uneventful. It's 10 where I am, 10 p.m. and it finished at 12. But after that stint, it was pretty uneventful. Stint 8. Carried comes in. Once again. So I ran well. What did I run? I ran a 2:24.0, and the Williams, which is second place in this lobby. And the Williams team ran a 2:25.8, which is about 2 miles quicker. Over 2 hours. So, yeah.
Oh, finally. Jesus Christ.
Carried comes in, and he is right with Williams, and I am trying to go as quick as I can. Williams RR. I'm trying to go as quick as I can, because my car was not fast in the bus stop, so if I would have lost their draft, it's done. Because them drafting, I don't know, but my car in a draft would just get right up on them. Like, it didn't matter. If I lost it, they were just going to pull away. So, I was pushing hard, and I just lost it. And a lap, I think 3, coming to 3, all of a sudden Carrie's car going 200 miles an hour in turn 1 slaps the barrier on the outside and just plows into the in barrier, separating the oval. Like 160, just real hard. And I was like, oh, I didn't know what happened, like a controller failure or something, because it actually looked like he was still in the session, but he lagged out and he only ran about 7 miles at that point. So, yeah, what was his actual stint? It was 7.18. I ended up, I lost Williams, so this is about 12 in the morning, too. I ran a 2:24.2, which is 0.2 of a mile better than what I ran before. Williams RR did about 0.2 slower, which is a 2:25.6. I ran a 2:24.2. Alright, so we go into the next stint. Carried and Sloth. He sticks with them again. Like, it was ridiculous. I tried to stay with them, I couldn't. They were too quick. So, he stayed right up on Sloth for the rest of for the whole stint, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, whole stint. He finished only 0.02 of a mile behind him. He ran a 2:25.8 for Sloth and a 2:25.82 for Carried. I ran a 2:24.27, which is third in the lobby. Very uneventful stint, but I knew I didn't have to worry about it anymore. I was like, now I think we're second. I was pretty solidified where I was. Then we get to 4 in the morning. I ran about 0.03 of a mile faster than I did previous stint, so improving. Williams RR comes in. I run like 2:26 at night. This is my final stint at night, which is about 6 in the morning, right? No, it was 4 to 6. It's 4 to 6. So, it's 4 o'clock. I'm like, everybody's like, no way you've ran 4, because some of them were like, you're still here? And I was like, yeah. I ended up finishing, I think, second in this. Yeah, I finished second in this stint.
This point,
Williams RR. Yeah. Williams was still running 2 miles, but he runs a 2:26.2, which is the quickest stint by anyone at night. I ran a 2:24.34, which is just better than my previous, so I kept on bettering. Alright, BDF comes in, first day stint. You can take from there.
Yeah, before I
Nice,
take it off, Xpert and Real Steel, any comments about the, midnight stints, I guess?
The cart got tighter when the tires were worn through the chicane of the backstretch. It was kind of tough to drive in some places, like in turns 1, 2, and 3, but other than that, it felt fine. Didn't really have any problems, except for a couple of GTs being idiots.
Mine's the same thing.
Don't ever run 4 stints in a row because your middle finger will hurt, okay? My middle finger was jammed.
Yeah, you look like Palpatine at the end of Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, it's bad. Don't do it, but it worked. It worked. I did it.
So now with 4 hours left, we were comfortably in second. I think we were losing by 14 miles at this point. And we were beating the LSTM team, SSR teams by 7 miles, so we had second in the bag. The second team, I might be wrong, but you guys were up to like 16th, I suppose. But there are a lot of mess ups in y'all stints. So
We were doing
there's
pretty
an up and
good.
down.
We qualified
then-
like I think 21st, and then
No, I moved
I
up
was
to
hoping for like a
just
top
above the
10.
top
That was my
15.
maximum goal. And then
Oh,
we got like 15th, so it wasn't bad. Or no,
We're
we got
getting there.
12th.
oh, okay.
Yeah, you guys are 12.
Damn. Falling behind the story. And then Larry's team was like 22nd, 21st. So then 11 rolls around. And Joda Commando is
First
back.
instinct.
I'm starting in second. It's like 6 in the morning. By the way, when I woke up and I saw it, we're in second, just bring it home. I was like, oh, we're actually about to finish.
That was
second
my
in this
message,
race.
by the way.
Yes. But for a split second, I thought we were going to win. Because when I started behind Commando, I think we were going into the bus stop on the first lap. His car just goes straight to the barrier. And I was like, no way. There's no way. There's no way I'm going to win this race on a line now. But his car just teleports back in line. I think I let out a subtle fuck there. But, it was interesting. I thought, for a split second, I thought we were in the lead. But anyways, AMS Swift, this AMS team liked it like 4 times and we're still going. And he was the quickest guy. He ended up running through the field and passing me. And then he even made 1 extra pit stop and still passed me. We had a good battle for
Barely in
second.
front of you.
I finished 3rd, but we were really far ahead. It was just clutch and coast, I guess. And then stint 12 rolls around, and Real Spill could finish this off here.
So, yeah, there's only been... So, BDS never ran a 227. I don't think anyone's ran a 227 except the top 3 teams. Maybe AMS, maybe. Probably not. But
Oh, no.
after that 2-hour break...
Only nobody ran up faster than a 227 except for the Coca-Cola team and DC Legends. And then you came in.
So yeah, I go into the last stint. After that, I got a 2-hour break. My finger still hurts. I'm like, okay, I was legit timing pit stops. I've seen a GT fly above me because B Shadow wants to punt one. He seriously punted a GT, hit the barrier, and ricocheted back out. About ended our stuff in the middle of the night, but it was all good. But I was flying, started driving, good. Everything's running well. Joe, or nah, who was it? Williams Mitch. Yeah, so Williams Mitch pulls away. But, he ran a 227.6. And this is one of my best stints I've driven. It was good. I was like, I just got off 8 hours of running this track. I know it's engraved in my mind perfectly. So, I was like, with my fingers, they got a small break, and I come out and I run a 227.0. Which is a P227.03, which is a PB stint. It was just a crazy stint.
It was a nice way to end it off.
Monstrous. And then Mitch was about 6 tenths of a mile ahead. So
meanwhile,
we ended up getting 2,699 miles. And we got beat by...
Didn't give us a gate penalty.
Yeah. I don't know.
We got beat by 19 miles. They beat us by 19.
We finished second by 12 miles. So we were comfortably second. Easily.
If we had put Duke in the car for 3 more
We got
seconds,
190 points for this event, though, so yeah.
Oh yeah, 190 points. So the rest of the team...
Can't forget that.
Actually, the second team was like around 15th, like in a very close battle for 15th, 14th, going into the final stint. But like so many teams lagged out, they ended up pulling up to 12th at the end. And then the third team was like 21st going into the final stint, and like none of us thought they were going to be in the top 20. But once again, lagouts came in, and also Larry, driving like an ass, pulled them up to 17th momentarily. But he got so many penalties from that final stint.
Anybody, right?
He got 4,500 combined, and he ended up. And because of that, they lost 17th, finished 18th overall. And that was the story.
800ths of a mile behind them. That's tough.
So that ended up being the story, but it's not over yet. So I'm making the announcements, of course.
By the way. By the way, shout out to Candy Tricksters for being MVP of B Team, bro.
Oh yeah, Tricksters ran some very good stints. He was actually he was the only guy that ran a better stint than Duke. Third fastest guy on the team. He did a good job.
Yeah.
But anyways, as I'm uploading the results, it was a great day. Like, I was feeling really well. We finished in second. I think that this sort of really shot VDR out there. P2. You know, other teams did pretty decent. But then, later in the night, or throughout the afternoon, Twisted is celebrating the second place finish and announcing it like VER had nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you right now, the partnership between PXM and VER turned into the partnership of Shaq and Kobe. So much distaste, so much
I wouldn't
hatred.
even, hold on. I wouldn't even give it that much credit at that point.
I mean, we finished second. The last year Kobe and Shaq were together, they lost in the NBA Finals. I think it works.
But still, yeah, I mean, it's like, if you want to give another basketball reference, I'd say Kyrie and LeBron. That would be your...
Sure.
Didn't achieve much, but it achieved a little.
So anyways,
Westbrook and Durant.
they tried to claim all the credit in the world for getting second place, and I'm telling you, VER, Xpert, Real Steel, hell, Springer, Larry, Shin, Tricksters, Duke.
By the way, none of us.
Nearly everybody out here, except for Goat and I, just clapping back at them. Oh my god, it was an argument. It was a rivalry, dude. Like, you would not think we were partners. And they were trying to say that second place was all of them, that we shouldn't get anything because we're not an eSports team, and we're only a community that
This whole
provides
Discord was
racers.
legit an argument about
Yeah.
PXM and VER. So we're getting publicity off of this. So I was like, my master plan.
VER turned King Toxic real quick. Like, I'm known as one of the most controversial figures, a shot starter, as you see Real Spill likes to call it. And pretty much Real Spill is a king shot starter, so...
I out asshole the asshole.
As your shit.
Asshole to asshole.
Well, here's the
Out
thing.
asshole the asshole.
I would have said nearly the same things that you guys did, but you guys just said it first. So there's no point in me to reiterate. And then
Well,
I
you
got
would've said it
some people
nicer,
messaging me trying to explain their case of why we shouldn't.
Anonymous.
Like, they are messaging the VER owner of why PXM should be getting more credit than VER.
That's not gonna fly.
This is when I started getting really upset. Because, you know, they tried to claim that PXM was, like, the reason why. And they basically said it was because of GOAT, because GOAT had some PXM relations. Well, let's do some simple math. GOAT did half the stints on our team. He is basically half PXM and half VER. 1/2 times 1/2 is 25%. PXM, at the very maximum, should have gotten 25% of the credit. Not even including the other two teams that performed when there were no PXM drivers. They shouldn't have gotten that much credit. And you know what PXM was actually known for in this race? Actually, I'll get to that later. But anyways, as this argument is going on, PXM drivers are saying that this should become a full-time thing, that VER should just supply drivers for PXM. I say, I came with a fast no on that one. Like, honestly, that was a hellhole. I did not want to work with them again. And I already have my mindset on Sebring. It wasn't going to happen. Sebring's for another day. But, yeah,
Sebring wasn't that bad.
But here's the one thing that PXM, this is the one thing that PXM did that almost contributed to our finishing position. So after the race, 3 days after the race, if you guys know who Schlossy is, he is the guy who does the majority of the livery regulations for all the leagues and stuff. He does it for the 24 hours a month. And he said, so apparently one team that finished pretty well did not correctly have their stickers on properly. And I said, and then he also said, this team also has two other partner teams. So this was a three teams that were all together that all had wrong livery stuff. And I said, did one of them finish on the podium? And he said, yep. It was 48, 49, and 50. At this point, I was worried because Tora has done some weird things to VER in the past with disqualifications to penalties. And Tora used to be pretty strict with this kind of stuff. Yeah, recent ones too. And Tora is pretty strict with this stuff. Not Tora's fault. They do everything properly. No problem. it's just sort of our stupidity. But I genuinely thought for like a good 10 minutes that all of our teams were going to get disqualified because of
It
the
wouldn't have
paint
mattered.
scheme.
It really wouldn't have
Luckily-
mattered. We just wouldn't have got the.
Luckily, he didn't give us the penalty for it. Sad that the regulations for this one is tight, as the next ones would be. But that was PXM's greatest contribution to this race. Almost getting us disqualified by a paint scheme that had no VAR on it.
Very
Unbelievable.
little.
And was also illegal. And was
At
also
the end,
illegal.
I was really happy with the second play. Like, I didn't talk about how freaking happy I was for finishing in second. After the race, I got a lot of congratulations. I think SSR for a while wanted to partner with us. I actually got a message from. I actually got an invitation to join SVR.
I got an
So-
invitation to an SSR just off my qualifying lap, so.
Yeah. Real Spool got a lot of Real Spool and I got a lot of publicity after that one. But so far,
I got an
that's
invitation to
that's-
retire, so.
Uh-huh. That's the only race. That was the most successful race. That is the most successful race VER has had in the 24 endurance championships. Hopefully tomorrow changes tomorrow or Sunday. Well, whatever you want to put it, but actually technically tomorrow,
we,
yeah.
we could say how it goes. Yeah, tomorrow.
But yeah, that's my story. I'm gonna get off in a few minutes. I gotta rest up. Wake up early for Tilt 1. Yeah.
Alright,
Any
and of
final
course,
thoughts?
tomorrow is Golfin's first start, so I want to go ahead and close it on this. Tomorrow's Golfin's first start in an endurance race. Golfin, since BDF and of course Real Spill are, I guess, considered our top guys when it comes to endurance racing, what would be some like concerns or questions that you would have heading into tomorrow's race?
Internet.
Number one concern,
Internet.
What kind of question is that?
Two
actually?
concern,
Are
speed.
you asking for a
Number three concern, my ability to keep the car on the track. Fourth concern,
Wow.
a lot.
You gotta really think about this one. Oh, wow.
A lot. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and just
Okay, well-
not knowing. So yeah.
Just not knowing. Okay, well, that leaves a lot of open ending, but with that
Yeah,
being
yes.
said, considering right now I'm running in now 8th in this race,
I could be going for a triple
of course, Jesus. BDF, of course, has finished up with the story. There'll be more episodes like this to where we're just chilling out, telling some esports stories later on as the season and we do more races and stuff as far as VER progressing.
Expect one next
But
week.
with that being
Yay.
Yep, possibly.
Big one next
maybe.
week.
Nope, next week is the Experts of
Hopefully.
Racing. That's going to be our news podcast. So probably 2 weeks from now might be another story one, depending on how everything
How this
shapes out.
weekend
But with
goes.
that being said, yeah,
Tune into Tora for
Basically.
A Lobby and Lamar.
It's a trend for VR to
Saturday.
make
Certainly.
massive changes after tour.
tune in here as well, because if my internet is working properly, I might stream my stints as well. So that'll be exciting. But with that being said, of course, for BDF, for Real Spill, Real Still, for Golfin, everybody at VER Network, Expert Racing Podcast, and VER itself, we want to thank you for joining us this evening, and yeah, we will see you next time.